Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 855. 855. August the 1st, 2019, Thursday. Thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you for all the wonderful comments in the comment section. And I do appreciate it. I don't have time all the time to respond to every comment, but I try to read them every day. And I'm aware of all the comments and things like that. So I do appreciate all that. And thanks everybody for stopping by and for taking an interest in the story, the major story that we cover here, the Spygate story. And thanks for all the work that everybody does on your end, leaving links and things like that. I get to look at a lot of that stuff, and just the overall participation in the effort to keep moving forward to get to the bottom of the Spygate fiasco and hold the perps accountable. Thank you so much for being a part of all that. Hell of a journey we've been on for a long time, and we got quite a ways to go. So just hang in there, everybody. Hang in there. Okay, so two quick notes before I get into the news of the day. First of all, there will be no Friday video because I have to go out of town for one day for a little business activity. So out of town for one day for business, but I'll be back, and there will be a Saturday video. So no video on Friday, but there will be a Saturday video, so I'll be back in time to get that done. And the second thing is that a lot of people were thinking that there'll be some documents declassified today. As far as I know, it's like 9 o'clock at night, and that still has not happened. 9 o'clock on Wednesday evening, that still has not happened, so we can assume that that probably is not going to happen today. So Joe DeGeneva, I think it's very difficult to predict a day when documents are going to be released. I do think that we are very close to having some documents released with what DeGeneva said, but also John Solomon said he heard, this about a week ago, he heard about 2 to 3 weeks from now. So, you know, somewhere I'm sure we're close to getting some documents released. I don't know what they are. We keep hearing all sorts of different things. Papagalopoulos was suggesting it might be his transcripts of his conversation with Downer. That's in a tweet he did yesterday, so we'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, yeah, nothing so far, but we'll keep watching, and I'm sure there are some things coming out here pretty soon. There's, you know, some of the FISA stuff, the Carter Page FISA application, that's still going through a legal process. It's going the right direction, but it's slow roll. And the Comey memos, where Comey basically, almost in diary form, wrote out the entire coup plot, that is still being battled out in court, and of course that's being slow walked as well, but it's going the right way. So it's like pulling teeth getting this information out, but I believe ultimately we will see this information. But anyway, that's where we stand on as far as any documents being released. I'm not aware of anything being released today. So anyway, let's move on with the news of the day. Okay, so as most of you have noticed, Trump is absolutely killing it on this Baltimore issue, and so I think what's going on here is it's a much larger issue. Trump pointed out Baltimore because he saw the news story and that, you know, got his attention, and he tweeted about it and tweeted, you know, to a link, or tweeted to the story. So, but it's much bigger than that, and of course Trump is winning on that. You know, he is winning now because since he came out with that tweet, now a lot of people are coming out and showing stories and various other things about reports that have been done about the situation in Baltimore. But it's much bigger than just Baltimore. And this is something I think Trump is honing in on. It is pretty much cities like Baltimore all across the country who've been run by Democrats for decades. These are urban areas, cities across the country run by Democrats for decades, are a disaster zone. They are a disaster zone. They look like third world countries. And of course we had Bernie Sanders say exactly that about Baltimore. Now today someone discovers a video clip of Elijah Cummings from 1999 where he says that Baltimore is infested, he uses the word infested, with drugs. And it was the word infested, which is what the media used to label Trump a racist somehow. So here we have Elijah Cummings in 1999 saying that Baltimore is infested with drugs. There's also another story that comes out today, and that is that we have this district, we have a child day camp in East Harlem, New York, which was closed last week by HUD. And this building was completely overrun by rats, roaches, and maggots for over a year as the New York City Housing Authority failed to solve the problem. Again, this is not good certainly for Comrade de Blasio, who's busy running for president, while this and many other bad things are going on in the city of New York. But what makes this one even more interesting is that they did an iReport, on this. In other words, a local New York TV station did their iReport, investigative report, on this particular child day camp. It's kind of a daycare center. And, of course, they noted in the story that this is in the voting district. This is in the district of Ocasio-Cortez, the wild-eyed commie. So while she's out talking about the conditions at the border and all these horrible things going on, right in her own district, you have this going on. So again, this comes back to full circle to bite the lefties right in the ass. The very people, Elijah Cummings, AOC, the very people making the loudest noise about all sorts of things are the very people who have all sorts of problems going on in their own districts. And Trump is going to do more and more of this as we move toward the election. He's going to be focusing more and more on massive failures in large cities run by Democrats, and specifically targeting the people who are specifically targeting him to go into their districts and point out all their massive failings and ask the questions, why aren't they doing anything about that? They're too busy complaining about everything else, but they don't care about what's going on in their own district. So Trump's going to get a lot of mileage out of this Baltimore story that started as a Baltimore story, which he is going to use over and over again in city after city to tar and feather Democrats all throughout the upcoming election cycle. It's like taking candy from a baby. Trump cannot pass up this opportunity. It's just too easy. And it's just too effective. Well, we have Mr. Potato Head John Brennan with another real crazy tweet. Now, so we have Brennan. He's got to be terrified now because now Coates is gone, which means Ratcliffe will be coming in. He will get confirmed. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly just like Kavanaugh was ugly, just like every appointment is ugly. This will be ugly, and Ratcliffe will take he knows what he's headed for, okay? So he understands exactly what he's walking into, but he knows ultimately he will get confirmed. But here you have Brennan. He's terrified. And, he spent the last 2 years going on CNN and talking about how Trump was going to be taken out by Mueller and the whole 9 yards. When none of that happens, then he goes into obstruction. When that doesn't happen, now he's trying to play up the race issue. So it really doesn't matter what it is with Brennan, just anything to be badgering the president. And he has a lot to worry about, and that's why. I mean, he's kind of going crazy, I guess you'd say. And he has been for quite some time, and it's for very good reason. He knows that the noose is tightening around his neck. So here's John Brennan with another nasty tweet calling Trump a racist. Now, it's possible that Mr. Potato Head read Papagalopoulos' tweet from yesterday, which said, quote, "Transcripts are out tomorrow. The first demonstrable proof to show that not only did we not collude, but that the whole world was against us, and Donald Trump still won in 2016. And when it's all said and done, the story will be of a global effort to take us down, but it backfired big time." And as I said, Brennan taunted Trump for 2 years about Mueller taking him down, and of course that never happened. Now, again, a lot of people talking about declassification and things being released. Solomon said it a week ago with Sebastian Gorka. Said, yeah, I'm hearing 2 to 3 weeks. DeGeneva was predicting there would be documents coming out yesterday on Wednesday. Other people, Hannity says he's got sources, of course. Everybody will say these things, but I believe it when I actually see it. But I do believe we are probably getting close to having some things declassified, and some things are still being fought over in the courts and various other things. But so it requires a lot of patience, unfortunately. But it's still unclear exactly what's going to be released. Conservative Treehouse is suggesting it may have been this Comey memos, which are Comey basically writing essentially a diary of the entire coup plot. That's what Conservative Treehouse is thinking may be released. And of course, you've got some people, particularly Papagalopoulos, as it's been relating to his tweets, suggesting that, and this is based on what Trey Gowdy said, and a couple other people, Mark Meadows, have said, who believe that there are transcripts of the conversation between Papagalopoulos and Alexander Down the Hatch Downer. And of course, we know that Strzok and Page, at least those two, and I think there were others with them, did go to London and talk to Alexander Down the Hatch Downer following the meeting with Papagalopoulos. So it's very likely that he was working for the FBI, very likely that he was recording it, very likely that there are transcripts. And I think that's what a lot of people, Gowdy and others, are suggesting. So Gateway Pundit is now suggesting the same thing. They're suggesting that, in fact, they're reporting that the transcripts that are coming out soon, that will be released soon, are from Papagalopoulos' conversations with Alexander Down the Hatch Downer, which will show that Papagalopoulos never said anything about Russian emails, and that there was no conversation that should have ever justified launching the Operation Crossfire Hurricane investigation, and that the pain is coming. So it's really hard to say. Everybody's speculating on exactly what's coming out. I honestly don't know. It could be the Nunes, buckets. It could be the Carter Page stuff, which is part of the Nunes stuff. It could be the Comey stuff. It could be the Papagalopoulos and Downer. Who knows? But a lot of people speculate on it, and all we can do is wait and watch and report on it when it comes out. But up until now, this is what we're hearing. But yeah, Papagalopoulos thinks that it's conversations between him and Downer. And we've suspected for a very long time that there were transcripts probably. I'm almost certain there's transcripts with Halper. I mean, I think that's fairly obvious. Misfit, probably not. But Halper, definitely. Downer, likely. But we're all going to find out together. Well, my friends, I tried to watch the Democratic debates last night, but I swear I could only get that's like a 3-hour debate, man. I got like 20 minutes into it, so I just can't take it. I just can't take it. 20 minutes is all I could do. And I thought, well, you know what? After it's all said and done, I'll go back and read the stories and watch the video highlights, or lowlights, if you will. So that's pretty much what I did. Watched about 20 minutes of it, then I went and read some news stories today during lunch, and then I watched some video clips of the so-called highlights. And I'm glad I didn't waste any more time, because it's exactly what we kind of would figure it would be. It was just 3 hours of constant left-wing propaganda. I mean, literally, they're not backing down at all. They're not. They really can't at this point, because everybody's trying to please Ocasio-Cortez, because they believe that she's the kingmaker, and whoever she endorses is going to be the big winner. So I think that that's who they're playing to. That's their audience, Ocasio-Cortez, and so they keep all going hard left. Now, of course, you do have 2 or 3 of those governors, Hickenlooper and Delaney and the other guy from Montana, and they're, of course, sort of making the argument that no, Medicare for all, that's a loser. Open borders, that's a loser. So you do have these 3 more sane Democratic former governors who are trying to reel this thing back in, but it's just impossible. And last night, especially Warren and Sanders, really are going hard left. They're really concerned that they're not going to get AOC support, and I can assure you that Bernie probably won't, because I think Ocasio-Cortez absolutely is not going to support any male, especially a white male. She's going to only support a female, and it's probably going to be a female of color, which rules out Klobuchar and Warren, which tells me that AOC is going to probably endorse Kamala Legs in the Air Harris. That would be my guess. And, of course, that debate is happening right now as I'm doing this video. I'll go back and watch the highlights and read the stories on that one as well, because I just can't take it. Can't take it. I mean, I can only take so much. I watched both of the first debates, pretty much a lot of both of the first debates, and I don't think anything's going to change. They really can't. They really got to stay locked in. I mean, they're already on record now. I mean, it's kind of hard to walk back things like that. So, and there's no way they can ever move back to the center far enough that they can try to move to the center for the general election. You can be a little slight left of center or right of center and then move back for the general. You can't be all the way out here on the wings, on the wingtips, for a hardcore socialist agenda or a hardcore right-wing agenda, and then think that you're going to move back into the center. It's just not going to happen, not especially in today's social media climate. So anyway, it looks like the Dems are all in for reparations with the exception of the three governors, but especially Bernie and the more left-wing ones. They're all in for the reparations. That's a loser. That's a big, fat political loser. Reparations always have been a loser. Open borders, big loser. Free benefits for illegals, people coming to the country illegally, getting free benefits. That is a massive, big loser. Tax increases. Ask Walter Mondale how that worked out for him. Medicare for all. That is a big loser. It would essentially cause 180 million people to lose their private health care. It's a big, fat loser. Of course, free college. That is not going to fly either. None of these things are even remotely close to being positions that you can run on in a general election and hope to have any chance. If the Democratic candidate runs on these issues, they will lose at least 44, 45 states. I wouldn't even be surprised to see California and New York go red. Because what happens in a lot of these blue states, like California and New York, a lot of Republicans don't vote. Why should they? They know they're going to lose and lose badly. It's not even close. It's a waste of their time. But if you put a socialist in front of them, that will motivate a lot of people who would normally not vote, will vote. And that's what the Republican Party is counting on in 2020, and Trump as well, is to make sure that they make sure people understand that 2020 is a decision between socialism and capitalism. That is going to be basically the bottom line for 2020. And the Democrats know it's a big loser. Certainly, Democrats in the media know it's a big loser. Those who think that they can take these positions and then walk it back to the center are totally wrong. That's not going to happen. That's back to politics of the 70s and 80s. That's not going to work anymore. Not in the media climate we live in today. So we had, of course, Buddy Boy, again, preaching. I don't know where this guy gets off preaching to us. I mean, he's constantly breaking out Bible scriptures. And I'm like, what in the hell is this guy talking about? He's a flaming homosexual, which is fine for me personally and many of you. We don't give a damn what people do. Marry anything. Marry a goldfish, a sea urchin. I don't care. It's up to you. Whoop-de-doo. I don't like, I do like the idea of the tradition of marriage, and I prefer that it actually, be this tradition. And I wish that they would come up with some other way of getting together. And I really don't care. I mean, I can, 2 males, 2 females, whatever. They want to get the tax benefits or whatever, adopt children. I'm not a big supporter of it. But, the libertarian in me says, if that's their choice, that's their choice. And, I don't like it, but, that's what decision they've made. So, but don't expect me to promote it. Don't expect me to pat you on the back and say how great I think it is. I don't think it's great. And I'm not going to pat you on the back on it. And I'm not going to promote it. And I'm not going to really support it. But I'm not going to chastise you for it. That's your decision. But he's constantly breaking out Bible verses. So this guy is, of course, flaming homosexual. He is married to a man. They're constantly kissing in public and stuff like that. He's for late-term abortion. And he's trying to use the Bible, Bible scriptures, to make the case on taxes and minimum wage, raising the minimum wage is specifically what he was talking about. And I mean, it's moronic. It's moronic. But since he likes Bible verses, and he likes to use Bible verses to make his point, I have a Bible verse for Mr. Buddy Boy, Booty Boy. How about this one? Romans chapter 1, verses 26-27. Here you go, Booty Boy. How about this? Because of this, God gave them over to shameful lusts. Even the women exchanged neutral sexual relations for even the women exchanged natural sexual relations for unnatural ones. In the same way, the men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. Men committed shameful acts with other men and received themselves the due penalty for their error. So, see, you could, someone who really knows scriptures well could even go farther than that, but essentially the bottom line is, I don't like when politicians get up and start breaking out the Bible, and especially a guy like this. He's not in the position to be preaching to any of us. Late-term abortion. Fantastic. Then we have, of course, I love John King when he said, he's like, the Democrats are way too far to the left. And he's a lefty. He's a Trump-hating lefty. And, of course, John King says, they're way to the left. And then he says, they're way to the left of Obama. And they're way to the left of Clinton. They're even way to the left of Dukakis. And Mondale, too. Let's not forget him. And you can go back to George McGovern. They're way to the left of McGovern. Way to the left of McGovern. So the Democrats know, in the media pundits, they know exactly what's happening, what they're looking at. We have Tim Ryan, of course, calling out Bernie for yelling. That was kind of funny. He's like, looks over at Bernie, he's like, you don't have to yell. And of course, we had Pocahontas, Hiawatha, talking about raising taxes on billionaires and corporations. But she says that the middle class, overall costs will go down. Bullshit. Lie. And she knows she's lying. That's the problem. It's not that she's stupid and she doesn't know that it's not going to work out. She knows she's lying. Funny thing is, she's pushing for free education. Free education. Now, this is someone who lied about her ethnicity, to get a job at Harvard, where she made $400,000 a year to teach one class. $400,000 a year to teach one class. But she's complaining about the high cost of education and why it should be free. Well, you're giving people free education. Are we still going to pay liars like her $400,000 to teach one class? I wouldn't pay Elizabeth Warren $4 for a class on anything, let alone $400,000 a year. Fortunately, she's not going to be the President of the United States. I can assure you of that. And like I said, the person who is going to get the endorsement from AOC is likely going to be Kamala Legs in the Air Harris, who's probably right now, along with Cory Booker, as I'm doing this video, trying to take out Biden. I warned him not to show up, but I heard that he is going to show up, so he'll regret not taking my advice by tomorrow morning. So the two most searched names after the debate were John Delaney and Marianne Williamson. That's kind of crazy. One of the most far left is the most searched, and one of the only 2 or 3 real sane Democrats on the stage is highly searched. So that tells you about the divide. And I don't see how this can be consummated at the convention for the Democrats. This party's split. You cannot be so super far left, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren left, and have a guy like Delaney over here, and he's getting that much interest. At some point, this is all going to come to the head. You can't be that far apart and hope to bring these two together at the convention. It's going to be a freak show. I'm telling you, folks, it's going to be a freak show at the Democratic convention. And because the crazy people on the left are not going to go quietly. They're not just going to fall in line. They're not just going to fall in line. No, they would rather destroy. I know this from the 2016, talking to Bernie Sanders supporters after he got screwed. They said, I would rather destroy the Democratic Party and let Trump win than let Hillary win. I had Democrats telling me that. And it's going to be the same or worse this year. You watch and see in 2020. Well, we have Ted Cruz getting harassed at the airport in Los Angeles. And people chanting. These are obviously paid protesters, chanting "Free the children" and that sort of thing. These are clueless people. They have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. That's what's most bothersome about all of this. because I support free speech and protesting and all that sort of thing. I mean, it's all good. What I don't like is ignorant people protesting. What you should have a fairly good grasp on the issue before you're out protesting it. But if you walk up to these people and you try to have a conversation with them, they are completely clueless. They're just there protesting, but they really don't understand the issues that they're protesting. They really don't. And that's what's frustrating and maddening about it. And you can't have a rational conversation because these people have no information. You can't have a debate with them. They have no grounds to hold a position in a debate. They're completely uninformed or misinformed. In this case, they're being paid just to harass people. Of course, the attacks on Ratcliffe didn't take more than 5 minutes. As soon as his name came out, as soon as Trump tweeted that Ratcliffe was going to be his choice for D&I, we saw the hit pieces on Ratcliffe. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. And I imagine he's going to have a very rough hearing, just like Kavanaugh and all the rest, but he will be confirmed. And we really need him. We really need Ratcliffe as D&I, and we need to get rid of Wray as soon as possible. And I think Haspel as well. Big news yesterday on this DNC lawsuit that was filed over a year ago. We talked about it a while back, but I just quit even talking about it because it was so ludicrous. They actually did push forward with this and continue with it. So this is that lawsuit, if you remember, a long time ago, over a year ago, the DNC, Democratic National Communist Committee, filed a lawsuit, which most people, just describe as frivolous lawsuit against Trump, WikiLeaks, and the Russians for hacking the DNC, right? So this has been going on and on and on. So finally, the judge has thrown the case out, essentially. He wrote an 81-page opinion on the case, ruled against the DNC. He argued that the claims made in the lawsuit are totally divorced from the facts. This case was so bad that in the 81-page opinion and the actions that this judge took, he made sure that this case could never be refiled. That's how bad it was. And keep in mind, this judge, he was a Bill Clinton appointed judge. So that's it for the DNC lawsuit against Trump. Trump wins big again, and there was never anything to it. It was a publicity stunt. Is pretty much what this lawsuit was. And now this is just another thing that's behind Trump, and more wasted money by the DNC. And another big fail. You wonder if these people ever get tired of losing to Trump. They just keep losing to Trump. Day after day after day. They lose to Trump. And the big loss, they haven't even seen, and they don't even see it coming. Trump knows when it's coming. Like I say, the reason I have confidence that this whole Spygate thing, as I've said for a very long time, number one, it's too big of a crime to be covered up. Number two, there's too much information in the public domain that people know about it. They're not going to put up with it being wiped under the swept under the rug. And also the fact that Trump wants it to happen. Now, if it were just Barr and Durham, I would say, well, they look good. I guess I have to have a lot of faith. But it's not so much Barr and Durham. It's the fact that Trump. And he has said that he will get involved if he has to. And he will get involved because ultimately there's a lot of things about trade deals he's trying to do and economic things he's trying to do that are being stalled out because of this coup that's not been properly vetted, and people haven't been held accountable. The Chinese and other people, the Europeans, are playing beat the clock. They're playing run the clock out. They're hoping that Trump will not win in 2020, and then all these deals he's trying to do that are good for us and bad for them will never happen. So they're dragging their feet and running out the clock. Trump is quite aware of this, so that's why he's not going to let it happen. He's going to make sure that in order for him to get this deal done with China, in order for him to get where he wants to be with his other deals regarding Europe, it will soon be the UK. There'll be a trade deal coming there after they have likely a no-deal Brexit. All these things are kind of being held up or hindered by the fact that these deep states around the world are looking at Trump and saying, well, if we can just hold on, maybe he'll lose in 2020. Trump's going to make sure he doesn't lose in 2020, but he's not going to wait for 2020. He knows that it's critical to all these other things he's doing to out the perps, hold them accountable so it never happens to another president again, as he said many times, but even more importantly, because it will mean that the Chinese and the Europeans finally have to say, well, it looks like we are going to get Trump we've got him for another 6 years, another 5-6 years. We can't go this long dragging our feet. We're going to have to cut a deal, and that's the bottom line. So this is tied to a lot of other things, and that's why Trump is going to make it happen, and my faith is in Trump, not everybody else. That's why I believe we're going to get to the bottom of this. This issue that a lot of people are hearing about Gavin Newsom saying, since he signed this bill in California, that Trump can't get on the federal ballot in California unless he turns over his tax returns. That may win in some lower courts in California, but ultimately, if it goes to the Supreme Court, and it might, Trump will win there. This is really not constitutional. It's not going to happen. Not that, I don't know. Maybe Gavin Newsom is worried Trump's going to win California in 2020. Why would he be fighting it so hard? But that's not something to worry about. A lot of people worry about what happens if these states do it and those states do it. Yeah, go ahead. Let all these states do it. They'll just look stupid, and that's all there'll be to it, because the Supreme Court will rule, and they only have to rule on one case in one state, and that will set the precedent for all the rest, and all of them will fall like dominoes. Most of them know this. I mean, Jerry Brown had the same bill in front of him. He wouldn't sign it because he knew it was a loser. But Gavin Newsom signed it. And right now, Gavin Newsom, there's a recall effort underway to take him out. So it's very likely that Trump will be reelected and Newsom will be kicked out of office by his own citizens in California. We have John Solomon doing a report that showed up pretty late in the evening. In his report, he's saying that Comey is going to be skewered by the IG report, but he will escape prosecution. Solomon's reporting that this is in regard to the DOJ investigation into Comey's leaking those memos, of course. Horowitz is going to make a criminal referral, but the prosecutors working for AG Barr apparently are going to decline to prosecute because they don't think they have enough evidence of intent. Evidence of intent. Hearing a lot of that lately. So basically they don't think that they can prove that Comey was intended to take classified materials home. They don't think that they can prove that there was intent, that Comey had intent to transmit classified information via an insecure email account. They don't think they can prove intent that Comey shared classified information with his private lawyers. They don't think they can prove intent that Comey wanted to get a special counsel to take down the President of the United States. They don't think they can prove intent for all that. I'm not happy about this, and I know a lot of you aren't either. But that's what John Solomon is reporting, that Horowitz is going to make criminal referrals, but the DOJ is not going to prosecute. This is in regards to the leaking of the memos to his good friend to get the special counsel appointment. That's what that's about. Has nothing to do with Durham investigation, but this is William Barr's DOJ prosecutors who are declining to prosecute. We're now learning that Jeffrey Epstein was an FBI informant, and he became an informant under Uncle Bob, the drive-by executioner Mueller. Yes, Uncle Bob, the executioner Mueller, made Epstein an FBI informant. That shouldn't surprise us, knowing what we just learned about this other character that they used in the Mueller investigation as our key witness, who just got arrested for his child sex crimes. And we are learning that Papadopoulos is going to be testifying in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee. That's Lindsey Graham. Papadopoulos is going to tell a story to the Senate Judiciary Committee after the Horowitz report comes out. And getting back to Epstein, just a real quick word on that. People saying, oh, is he going to talk? Is he going to talk? No, Epstein is not going to talk because Epstein will not be able to talk. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back on Saturday with more TowerGate videos. You guys have a good day. Bye.